Hi, I'm Taylor Ward, and you're listening to Halfway Around the Halo.
Fires the first. The Angels have no hit. The Seattle Mariners racing back to the track. Gone! Big fly for Mike Trout. There it is. Hit number 3,000 for Albert Pujols. Gone! Big fly, Ohtani shot. Walcott leaps up, and he got it. Oh, my! Taylor has no hit. The Minnesota Twins. Has it. The Angels, world champions.
Hello and welcome back to Season 7, Episode 1 of Halfway Around the Halo. We're in 2025. We're about to embark on another long baseball season, and I'm delighted to kick off this year with a very special guest. We are very happy to be joined by Michael Petersen, the new Angels pitcher and Team GB WBC star. Michael, thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
I'm great. I'm pumped to be a part of this.
No, honestly, really delighted to have you on. And for me personally, in terms of being a big baseball fan over in the UK and also a huge Angels fan, it was sort of the perfect mix, the perfect team for you to come to from my perspective. But before we get on to any of that, how are you? How's camp so far? How are you enjoying being in Arizona?
It's been good. It started off a little bit interesting, being that I started with Toronto and drove across the country from California to Florida. It took me 5 days for me to get there, and then they tell me like, nope, you're going back to Arizona.
That's
uh,
crazy. I was going to ask you about that because I know you were claimed by the Angels, weren't you, on the 11th of Feb?
yep.
So you'd already made it down to Florida.
Oh yeah, I'd driven all the way across. I know a lot of people probably watching this in England. They don't understand that it was about 5 days of 12-hour driving every single day for me to get there for 2 days, and they're like, yeah, it's not happening. But I'm fired up. I was fired up when I had got the phone call that I was named and was coming to Anaheim, and it's exciting. I think it's an exciting time to be on this team. I think that it's looking like we're striving for something pretty awesome here, and it's cool to be a part of it.
Definitely. Yeah. Had you made plans to move to Toronto already? Had you got things lined up, ready to go for the season?
Thankfully, no, but I did get a Airbnb in Florida with a buddy of mine that was a little bit expensive, but we were like, hey, it's nice. We're close to the beach. It'll be great. And everything was starting to settle in. We were all excited. We got our groceries, and then I get a phone call, and they're like, yeah, you're not with us anymore. And I was like, that's a tough one.
I
But
guess
thankfully, nothing in Toronto yet.
when you've been around the game for so long, you get used to it, I guess. And maybe you can never
Oh
fully get
yeah.
used to it, but at least you know that there's a possibility of this sort of thing happening.
Oh yeah, no, you absolutely get used to it. It's even when people ask me in the off season, like, "Oh, you're with Toronto." I was like, for now." And you always get used to being uncertain. It drives my friends and family nuts because they're like, "Why don't you ever just say yes or no?" And I'm like, because I don't live in a yes or no world.
So excited to be on the Halos, as you said. Hopefully, a very promising year ahead. What's the mood like in camp? Some of the young guys, I know they had last year, came up into the league, looking good, built on that, ready to go for another spring. And I think they've brought in some veterans around as well now, so it's quite a nice mix, I think, in the clubhouse. Is that right?
Yeah, 100%. There's actually really cool energy in here. There's a lot of guys who are really excited. Like you said, there's a lot of young guys who I would have loved to be in those shoes when I was their age. You didn't get that opportunity, and the fact that they're getting it here, I kind of always call it you're too dumb or too ignorant to understand the weight of the situation, which is huge because if you can get out of your own way that quick, then you don't know what you're going to become. And then you have the right leadership. You have older guys who have been there and seen stuff that can kind of stop them from making a misstep before. No, it's cool. And right now it feels like everyone's pretty fired up for what's coming this year.
Who stood out to you so far in camp?
Oh, that's tough. I know I keep to myself, but it's tough. I've had a couple pens next to Joyce, and I know that's the obvious answer, but
Hmm.
it's pretty tough not to notice when things are going by you at triple digits.
Well, you've got some experience of that yourself, haven't you? With the nickname with British Gas and all the heat you were throwing during the
Yeah.
WBC. So, but Joyce's stuff just electric, isn't it?
Oh, it's insane. It's cool. It's cool just to kind of watch it go, and watch him and his work too. Like outside, off the field, in the weight room, all the stuff he's doing. He's in here early, getting his body right. It's pretty cool to watch.
Definitely. And you got to play with some superstars last year, didn't you, with the Dodgers? So you got to be around someone we're very familiar with is Shohei, but Mookie and Freeman and
Yeah.
all the guys over there. But what's it like being a clubhouse with Mike Trout now, who's equally as much of a superstar, if not more?
Oh yeah. No, it's really cool. It's funny, you don't realize that these people are gonna be very down to earth. You think that they would be in their own world and kind of like, you know, I don't need to talk to you, but every single one has been unbelievably nice. Trout was one of the first guys to introduce himself, and it's funny because I'm sure when someone introduces himself, goes, "Hey, I'm Mike." It's like, dude, I know who you are. You don't have to do that. But it's just that shows how polite and how friendly. Like it's been really cool. Even Kenley's been. I know he's new to the team, but he has a lot of time. He's been unbelievably friendly and nice and easy to talk to. Kyle Hendricks, another longtime big leaguer, has been easy to talk to, easy to like pick his brain and try to get better through. It's been cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's really
really enjoyed
nice.
it.
And I think that's kind of why the Angels have gone down this approach this year, right? With Kenley, with Hendricks, as you said, bringing in these vets that have been at the top of the game for so long. And what's your approach usually like with those guys? Do you want to speak to them and get some advice and find out what they do, their routines, or is it a bit more you watch and observe from the sidelines, or how does it go?
It's probably more the second one. I try to fill out the situation because a lot of guys like they want to do what they can to get better. They want to do. You don't want to get in the way of that. But they're very regiment, like down to the minute before a stretch. They know what they want to do, and the last thing they need is someone standing behind them going, "Hey, how do you do this? Do you how close do you clip your toenails?" And it's like, dude, just give it a break. And so, kind of feel out the vibe. They find a second, and there's something that I can actually ask them of actual worth. Then it's like, okay, hey, I've been working on the slider. I know you throw a good one. What do you do? Or hey, my changeup. Do you have any tricks? And I mean, everyone's been really, really nice about it and really easy going. So it's been really, really helpful.
And what's it been like so far with Ron Washington? I mean, Ron's obviously a bit of a legend of the game and been around the block for a long time.
Yeah,
And what's Ron been like so far?
that man brings the energy. I mean, you wouldn't know that he wasn't 25 years old. Like I could see why he's been a legend all these days. He brings energy that you don't expect. I like him. I've enjoyed his coaching so far. It's cool. I mean, it's cool when you grow up and you watch a guy who's done amazing things as a manager, and now you're playing for him, and you're like, whoa, I didn't see this coming.
I can imagine, and we get a sense of that as fans. You see it. Obviously, these things you're never quite sure when you're on the outside, but all the clips are uploaded. The work he seems to do with the young players, like one on one, and just the energy really comes through. So it must be a fun place to
Yeah.
be right now. When do you think you're going to
Oh
get?
yeah.
Do you know when you're going to get your first appearance this spring, or when you're going to be first pitching?
Yeah, we're looking at Wednesday. So pretty excited.
And what's your usual build up to that first appearance of the spring? How do you usually go about getting prepared?
We got a couple lives. I got another one today actually. It's just getting the body right. Like you're never gonna feel great. You're never gonna be completely locked in on the first day of spring. I mean, mentally you're gonna be locked in because you have to. This isn't a job that you get to take off a pitch. But it's still stuff I'm working with. Hey, my hips feel out of timing. Hey, the arms drag and all that stuff. But getting into an actual game and being like, okay, doesn't matter. It's compete time. It's fight time. It's exciting. I mean, it's like being in an actual like fight. You're in a fist fight or something. Yeah, maybe you're a little bit tired. Maybe your body doesn't want to do it. But when you're staring down the barrel, it's like, no, it's time to go. And it's a great feeling.
I think that's probably one of the hardest things for a fan to understand compared to a pro athlete is the strain that this must put on your body and everything that goes into getting ready for a season. And then you can't just go out there straight away and be at 100% because it must be coming off such a long off season we have in baseball, coming back into
Yeah.
it and the work you have to do preparing. It must be such an adjustment that it's really hard, I think, for the average person to understand.
Yeah, it's really tough. And yeah, everyone just thinks, well, just don't take time off. Like it's just that easy. And it's like, yeah, but when you're getting towards the end, I know it says 162, but when you have spring training and when you add the postseason that we're all hoping to play in, it's like you're playing in 200. No other sport plays 200 games a season, and you're playing in just about 200 games. And if you go play winter ball and all that stuff, you need time to give your arm, or even if you're hitters, your core, your everything, just a little break. And you need to know how you're building up. Like there's a lot of guys who I've seen who come into spring ready to go. I mean, like 100%. They've been throwing pens and lives in January, and when I was throwing pens and lives in January, but they're throwing it at 10 tenths there, and by the second week in spring, they're hurt. It's like you have a long season. You need to figure out. That's not everyone. Everyone's different. Some guys can do it. Some guys are first day in ready. For me, it's I want to be as ready as I physically can. I want to be able to go out there and be like, this is it. We're hitting the ground sprinting, but also knowing, it's not as easy. Your wear in process, I guess, hasn't hit
Mm.
yet. August, when your body's beat tired, it's like, okay, I've got this. I can just kind of get out of bed and do my thing. It's kind of like trying to think of a way to explain, like a race car tire. When you put the brand new race car tires on, you got to warm them up. You got to do stuff.
Mm.
You can't just go rip that corner at the full speed. But then once you've warmed them up, it's like, yeah, now I'm good. Now I can keep rolling into this stuff. My body, all those little tiny like scar tissue things that I came back in have torn out. They're good. Your arms moving loose. Like it's just that kind of stuff that you have to get used to again. Um, Especially when you're playing for September, you're playing for October. It's like you don't want to be on that downhill swing when the end of the season's coming. You don't want to be sitting here going, "Ooh, I can't wait for the off season when the biggest games of your life's coming." And so you got to kind of prepare for that.
Absolutely. So if we're looking ahead to this year, then what are your goals for the year? First off, I guess, what sort of conversations have you had with the Halos around your role? I know that this time of year, everyone's fighting it out, aren't they, for jobs, for getting into the pen. What's the sort of what's the goal for the year so far?
You kind of hit it on the head. I'm here battling for a spot. It's exciting because the difference between this spring training and last spring training I had, I feel like I can actually battle for something here. And then from that point on, you fight for a spot, and then you fight to make that spot a better spot, and hopefully you can go out there, help a team win a bunch of games, and do something special. Um, I don't have any like thought besides that. Where I'm starting here is let's just fight to be here. Um, and then once you check that box, then it's okay. Be where your feet are. Fight to be the best, whatever you are. Whether you're a fifth inning guy, a mop up guy, a ninth inning close. Fight to be the best version of that, and keep going back and keep working. And then it's okay. Fight to get leverage innings, and you get leverage innings, and fight to keep doing that, and then let the chips lie.
Definitely. And I know there's the bullpen here, it feels like there's some talented guys around and it finished the second half of last year strong, but it does very much seem like there's an open competition for lots of those spots. I don't think anyone can really predict an Angels bullpen right now confidently and say these are the guys that are going to be in there. So it's probably a nice spot to be in, as you said, where you can come in spring and know that if you do your work, you show your worth and your talent, then there's a spot for you there.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. And yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting to know that, hey, hopefully hard work pays off and it shows.
Have you had a chance to pitch in Anaheim before?
Yes. Um, Last I pitched in Anaheim was with the Dodgers and it did not go great. So prefer not to keep doing that. At least I'm playing for this team rather than against them this time.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully next time goes a lot better for you. Um,
Yeah,
let's move on to the WBC then, because it'd be remiss of me not to talk about British baseball whilst I have you here. And uh,
absolutely.
let's just talk first off, like what was that experience like? Obviously, for those that don't know, you were born in London. I know you grew up in the US, but you were born over here on our shores,
Yep,
where I
yep.
am right now.
Yeah.
Whereabouts in London? Whereabouts in London were you born?
I was born in Middlesex.
Okay, very nice.
Yeah.
There we go. But moved over to the US, but performed admirably for Team GB. So how did that come about? And talk me through the experience.
It's funny. I grew up, so I still have a bunch of cousins in England, and we go back. Um, in Luton, and one of them's in London. One of them just moved. It doesn't matter, but I would go back and visit every year. And growing up, I was always like, one day I'm going to play for Great Britain. And my dad was like, why don't you want to play for the U.S.? And I was like, I don't know. There's something about it. I want to do it. I want to do it. But I had no clue how to do it, and so it kind of started to go past. And it would show up in the Olympics. I'm like, one day I'm going to play for them. I'm going to do it, but I didn't know how to go about it. And a season I was playing in Wisconsin, and I get this email from this guy in Canada, and he goes, "Hey man, I'm with Team Great Britain. I think he was a player, not even a coach. He's like, I'm doing some scouting work. I saw you were born in England. Would you want to play for Team Great Britain?" And I was like, is this a scam? It took me like a day to respond because I was like, okay, I'm gonna respond. I'm not giving him any information, so I just said like, yeah, I would love to. Period. He's like, let me get your phone number, and I was like, I like Googling if you give someone your phone number, can they spam you? Can they scam you? And I was like, I don't think so. So I gave him my phone number. We talked for a little bit. Looked the guy up. He's like, I'm a coach for this team in Canada, and I do this. And I was like, all right. So we talked to him, and he's like, yeah, I would love to have you aboard. I'm like, oh, this is sick. And I hear nothing for like the rest of the year. And I was like, all right, well, I guess that kind of didn't happen. And then even more annoying is I get this flyer in my locker next spring training saying, World Baseball Classic coming up. If you think you have lineage to Great Britain, call us. And I was like, these jerks are doing an open tryout. They don't even respond to me. And so I ended up calling the number, and they were like, yeah, we could do a tryout. I'm like, I don't really have a tryout or video, but I can like send you some highlights of me pitching. And like an hour later, I got a phone call. I'm like, yep, you want to play? We're happy to have you if you can play. And I was like, oh yeah, sweet. And so actually the first qualifier, the guys had all flown in. I'd met some of them because they were in San Diego for something. I met a lot of the guys down there. Then they flew in for our World Baseball Classic event qualifier in Phoenix in 2020. And so it gets canceled almost immediately. And I was just bummed out. I was like, oh man, this is my chance to put on the Great Britain gear. It sounds so dumb, but I was just fired up. So I'm like, I just want a shirt. I just want something that says Great Britain baseball, something that just shows that. And it got canceled. I'm like, oh man. Then I get a call a little bit later, like, hey, it's happening again. It's going to be in Germany. Can you go? And I had actually just had TJ, and I was like, oh no, this sucks. And I was kind of rehabbing it. I was like, kind of set my mind on this is where I want to be. I want to go to this thing, but I have to be healthy. At the time, I was with the Rockies, and thank goodness they were nice enough. They were like, you can go, but it's your rehab outing, so you're very set to these amount of pitches in this amount of time. We did well. We won. Then we show up to the U.S., and I was like, I really hope I can make this team. I hope they let us play. And it was funny because like it sounds so dumb, but I'm like, I don't know. Like this is a pretty big deal. Maybe they won't let us. And when he's like, hey, Michael, you're on the team, you can play. And going out there, there's something about it. I've told all my friends that there's not an experience more cool than the World Baseball Classic. If anyone has a chance to play, do it. Going out and like hearing your anthem, having a jersey on, and like playing for a country, people that are excited. The amount of people I've talked to who, I mean, they don't necessarily. I say the same thing. I don't necessarily care about hockey, but when you see countries playing against countries, it's like, whoa, this is cool. And the World Baseball Classic, I mean, I think it's adding, and the fact that we didn't lose, like, yeah, we didn't get first or second, but we got third out of our bracket or fourth or whatever. We didn't get bounced, and I think it helps grow. Exactly, and I think that helps because countries that, I mean, even the Czech countries that you don't necessarily see playing baseball, going out and winning, I think is cool. I think people that may not care about baseball get to see their country and they go, why is my country on TV? Or they look at a hat and they go, that's a cool hat. I want that hat. Or I see that jersey. That's a cool jersey. I can make that a part of my fashion. And it sounds dumb, but it starts there because then it becomes, okay, that was cool. I have the jersey. I have the hat. Now what? Well, maybe I kind of want to go out and play. Maybe I'll go play with some buddies at a park. And then I don't know. It was cool. It was really, really cool.
Honestly, I think you've hit the nail on the head there at the end there. And that's what I think the WBC definitely had an impact on here. Just trying to inspire the next generation, get baseball more into the mainstream. It definitely, your win received some coverage like on the BBC and mainstream sports coverage, which it would never usually have before. And I think candidly, before the tournament started, I wasn't particularly excited, particularly interested. As soon as that first game happened, I was, I love the sport anyway, but it was it was something completely different. It was something new.
Yeah.
As you said, that feeling when it's your nation competing out there was just incredible. And for you, I guess some of the experiences, how did it feel striking out Nolan Arenado in three pitches, especially your connection with the Rockies at the time and Nolan's stardom there?
Oh yeah, it was funny. It was funny because I mean that whole series, even the lead into it, I could not land a curveball. Just for the life of me, could not land it. And even the first at bat didn't land it. And so I was like, I need to get one in there. And so I threw it the first pitch, curve, land, strike, and I was like, thank God. And Harry Ford was like, let's just run it back. Let's try another one. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, if I might as well. Like, and I'm sure he's sitting here. Nolan's going, there's no way he's landing two. He hasn't landed one all game. Land a second one. I was like, okay, now I've got some wiggle room here. I can let fly. And it's funny because I didn't realize how hard I was throwing at the time. And so I was like, get this fastball up. If he fouls it off, it's all right. We can work with this. And right when it left my hand, I'm like, that's a perfect pitch. He's not hitting that. I'm like, that's too close to the zone to take. And so when it went past, I was like, okay, kind of didn't think anything of it. Once the inning ended, I wish I remembered his name. I can see his face. Kept running up to me going, I got the ball, I got the ball. And I'm like, what the heck are you talking about, the ball? And he's like, I got it. And I was like, and finally turned, I'm like, wait, what ball? And he goes, your strikeout ball. And I was like, how? He's like, you threw it out. I thought you wanted it. And what happened was I didn't even think about that. It was that the ball got thrown around and I got scuffed going around the bases. And so they told me to throw it out. And I
Hmm.
always throw the balls out into our dugout. So he's like, I got it for you. And it was sitting in my locker. And it's not like authenticated or anything, but I have it in a little bag. And I'm like, that thing means a lot to me. That was like my whole comeback. I didn't play for 3 seasons because of COVID. Like
Yeah.
I didn't expect it to take off the way it did and how people freaked out. But I mean, the amount of texts, videos from teammates, like they were watching it and videoing it and screaming and all that stuff. And I was like, it was just really fun. It was fun to have that kind of like excitement around something.
It was such an incredible moment. Is there any chance if you play against Nolan this year, you can bring it along and get him to sign it or something?
I never thought about it. I probably could. I don't know what he'd probably throw that baseball into a lake if I did it. So I mean, maybe I'll wait until he's a teammate or something.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be great. Get him over to Anaheim.
Exactly.
We spoke earlier before we came on about. I know you spoke to the guys at Batflip and Nerds, who are one of the UK baseball correspondents over here, and they were telling me about you playing games in secret during the lockdown to stay active. What was that like?
It was funny. Yeah, especially because California had a pretty strong lockdown. So we basically went and grabbed 18 guys or how many you could find and would just go to parks. It would be like in the morning, hey, the games, or text us the night before, game's probably gonna be at 9. So you'd wake up early and you get a text, be like, here's the address. And everyone would go like run onto the guerrilla warfare, this field, go play real quick before police came and kicked us off the field. Um, and I remember pitching in one of these things, and I mean, these guys are all like 45 years old. It's not like, and I mean, maybe the youngest is like maybe 30 and played D2 baseball. And I would go out for an inning or two and just absolutely blow the doors off of people. And one of the guys came up to me after the game and was like, hey man, have you tried like getting scouted or something? And I was like, I don't know. I haven't been scouted in a long time, man. And he was like, I've got some friends. You should probably try to play. And I was like, I'll look into that. Thanks. 'Cause I didn't want to say anything 'cause I don't think I was supposed to be doing that. And so I was
Yeah,
like, oh, yeah, yeah. And I have a twin brother. So I'd always be like, oh, I'm Thomas. And they're like, oh, man, that's cool. And
that's
finally, one of the days I was wearing like Brewers shorts and like, did you used to play for them? And technically it was correct. I'm like, yes, I did used to play for them.
that is that is brilliant. And I wonder if any of those guys now have seen you when last year when you're out with the Dodgers, when they're like, okay, now we see.
uh, I do hope so. Actually, I got a text when we were playing in San Francisco, and it was a guy being like, I came and watched. I can't believe I faced you and all this. And it was like, again, in shorts on this, I can't even call it a dirt mound throwing. And it's funny because I'm sure those guys are going to sit there and tell their friends, I faced this
Yeah.
guy in an adult league. And their friends going to be like, yeah, you faced him in an adult league. And it's like, no, he really did.
Oh, so good. Um, I guess WBC, you must be looking forward to the next one. As we said, now we qualified. Are you ready for it? Ready to go? Ready to represent Team GB again?
I am fired up. I'm so excited. Actually, this last November, I was in England and went and checked out some of the facilities that they're training at, which one blows me away.
Mhm.
I'm blanking on the name and I shouldn't. But their facility indoors, full.
In London, in Brent Cross.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
think you're
really
right.
cool. Really cool.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I haven't seen something like that even in the US. And it was cool to be a part of that. And like kind of what we were saying earlier, where it was like I saw these kids training and practicing and all this stuff. And I went out with Cameron Opp, another teammate, and it was just like, this is what's gonna happen. Like this is growing and
Mhm.
hopefully a couple of these guys go on. And I know a lot of people in England kind of were bummed out because a lot of the guys weren't British born. A lot of guys didn't have a lot of lineage, and I understand that. I think that does suck. But the exciting part is hopefully we do enough to where maybe not this next one, maybe the one after this or the one after that, every single person's British born. Or
Yeah.
you go and sit here and you go, oh, that kid, he went to this school just down the street. He grew up here because he cares. Like, it's cool and it's exciting. I'm hoping that this next one, more people want to play.
Yeah.
I know there was a couple guys who had British lineage that chose not to.
Mhm.
Hopefully they saw us compete and they could go, okay. I'm sure a lot of guys were afraid. They were like, I don't want to go out here and get embarrassed.
Yeah.
And they saw us. I mean, we held our own against the U.S.
Mhm.
Canada was kind of a firefight. We looked good against Mexico and we beat Colombia. Hopefully some of those guys look and go, this is worth putting my name on. This is worth being a part of.
I agree, and I think you're totally right. I know there was some. You're always going to get some negative comments from people, aren't you? You're always going to get that. Well, they're not really British. They weren't born here. They never lived here. Whatever. But you're right. Ultimately, we're starting. You kind of said it with how you were scouted, right? That should sum up what an amateur system it is over here.
Yeah.
Everyone's a volunteer. There is no professional baseball, so we're starting from such a low point that what we need is that Team GB in team that you were part of inspired this country, no doubt about it. And you need to take that inspiration and put the funding that came from winning that game against Colombia and qualifying for the next one
Yeah.
back into the grassroots. And as you say, it's going to take time, but I think that's what we're all aiming to do over here and just to try and spread the game that we love as a small community, but get it to grow into the grassroots. And let's hope that, as you
Yeah.
said, in two WBC's time, we have a few more coming through that have born here and learnt their baseball here. Ultimately, the
Yeah.
facilities aren't here though, so they're going to have to go to the States at some point or elsewhere.
No, yeah, I mean that's the hardest part. And that's the guys. There are not harder working people than the guys I've worked with Great Britain. And like you said, they're getting paid almost, if not nothing, almost nothing to go and do this stuff out of the love of the game, out of just wanting to grow something. And these dudes are busting their butt, and it's amazing to see. And then you go, okay. And the kids I saw that were out there catching and whatnot, it was exciting because it was like they can be the next phase. And then you get to the problem where it's like it's freezing cold, it's rainy. You have to take a train out to this random spot in London to try to even get a shot. It's a lot of the guys are like, oh, I just dream of coming to the U.S. and playing, and it's tough. It's the same as like for Americans. If you see like our football or soccer, like they have to go to Europe to play. You don't play in the U.S. and it would be remiss for us to be like, oh, we signed this guy who's playing for Man U. Why is he playing for the U.S.? We should get the guy on the Earthquakes. It's like,
Mhm.
well, do you want to win or do you want
Yeah.
to just watch the team never ever qualify? Like the point of it is if the U.S. like the women's team, if it starts doing well, then more people play, and then maybe it grows in that. I kept making the joke that we're the other baseball island. You got the Dominican, you got Japan, and soon it'll be Great Britain. But
Exactly.
you have to have the success. You have to make it. No kid wants to go play and be like, oh, the team that sucks, I want to play for that. It's like, no, hopefully we win and hopefully they go and watch and go, that's actually really exciting. I can be a part of that.
Without a doubt. Are you checking other teammates' heritage now to see if they're eligible for GB? That's the next step, isn't
Uh,
it? See if you can find a
I,
grandparent here or there.
oh, I did. I did it when I was with the Rockies and there was a couple guys and I'm probably going to start bugging them again. Uh,
But
it's, it's funny because I've always been very open about it. I still stand by it as if anyone has any lineage, go play. Like, it's the funnest thing in the world. It's like World Series atmosphere, except for without the stress and the hatred. It's always happy. It's always joyous. I mean, yeah, it sucks when you lose, but when you put up a good fight and you bust your mom hump, it's like, oh, this was fun. This was a good time. And so I've been slowly kind of like working it, and the guy will be like, oh, I think my grandparents are from like this country, and it was a British colony. I'm like, was it
Mm.
now?
That's the way to go. So I'm looking forward to the next one, and I'm glad we got our chief scout on it now,
Exactly.
finding out. Uh, I don't want to take up too much more of your time, Michael, because I know you've got plenty to be doing today if you've got a live and everything else. So what does the day look like? What's a typical day from now once you leave?
Yeah, for today, I'm probably gonna go start heating up, putting on some music, locking in, get ready to attack, get ready to pitch. If I didn't have a live or something, I still come in early. I like to get food in me, heat up, get the body right. I'm gonna get a heavy lift today, which is going to it's gonna be fun.
Hmm.
um, but yeah, today is gonna be, since we have a road game, it's relatively short. It's more of like the precursor, more of the stuff to get ready for the day.
And what are the new facilities like?
Oh my
You
goodness.
know, is it good?
It's amazing. It's
Yeah.
amazing. I've never been on a team that has this many fields just for the big league side. Like you could basically have one-on-ones on every single field here. Normally, big league sides have two fields, and you kind of pitchers go to one, fielders go to one. We've got six. Like you come in, the gym has everything you could possibly want. Has a turf running area. The locker room's beautiful. Like they've done an unbelievable job here. It's great.
That's great to hear. And obviously, I think that sort of thing makes a difference, doesn't it? Being somewhere you're comfortable, where you can get your work in and really feel like you've got all the facilities you need to get prepared for the season ahead.
Oh, 100%. You're not afraid of stepping on anybody's toes because you have plenty of space. It's not like crammed. I mean, in the hot tub and the cold tub, you can fit like 15 dudes in each of them. Like, oh, it's crazy.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, Michael. Really appreciated your time. When you do get back over to London, you said over here a lot. If you ever fancy a beer and watching some baseball, let us know because we got a community here that does it, and we'd be delighted to get you on. So let us
Oh,
know. But
absolutely.
yeah, good luck for the season ahead. We're obviously really rooting for you to make the team, to get into the pen, and have a great year.
Heck yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Cheers.